we must dwell. Get your hustle on, ring that wealth bell. From the dirt to the gold, every story's untold. Cash flow, Savannah, where ambition takes hold. Started with $1, stretched it to a mile. Every setback just to set up for
Welcome to
style.
Cash Flow Savannah. I am here with Chandler. We are on location. We are in Savannah. We're at one of our favorite short-term rentals. Guess what the name of it is? Just Peachy.
I wonder what it is.
Amazing. Chandler, we've spent many hours in this room, in this building. How many hours have we spent here? Hundreds?
Too many, yeah.
I don't know about too
Hundreds.
many.
Not too many, actually not too many. Never too many.
Never too many.
But a lot of time.
Yes, I got to see this place before you did. I was the buyer's agent on this. This is a crazy story. If it's okay, we're gonna tell a lot of stories about short-term rentals today, okay? Because Chandler and I, that's all we do is work them. So it's fun to talk about it. Last December 2024, I had a buyer call me and he said, my accountant sent me to you, my CPA. I said, I'm ready. He said, I have to buy a short-term rental. Well, the date he contacted me, the owner of this unit, it was December 19 of 2024. And he said, I need to buy one before the end of the year. And I was like, okay, 12 days from now. He said, that's right. I said, let's go. You ready? I've got some options. And he said, really? Absolutely. I'm a pro. I help people buy and sell short-term rentals and I also manage them. And he was excited. He said, you're the first agent that didn't hang up on me and tell me I was crazy. And I said, no. I had a stack for him. I had been, dealing with this all fall. So I took him, we actually offered on a different 5-plex. Then he found this and I'll never forget walking through and I was so happy the other one didn't work out because this property is actually so much nicer than the other one that we tried to get under contract and we just failed. That wasted 2 of our 11 days. For the record, my favorite part of the story was that I had to give Quentin a heads up. Quentin is our favorite closing attorney here in town. He sponsors our show, not really our show, but our meetup, and we just love Quentin. I said, Quentin, I've got one coming. We have to close it. And we were able to close this in 9 days. He pulled title before we had this under contract. We had 2 holidays and I went to Europe. I was in 2 different countries. We had so much going on in these 9 days. We got the job done. We took it down. It needed some work. This was not decorated as nice when we first walked in. Talk about the evolution of the decor on this unit, Chandler.
So I think when we first bought it, we knew decor was an issue. I think when we were pulling some decor out, we could tell that it was from some thrift store. You could see the little $5 written on every single piece. So I don't know if they went to this hotel consignment or something, and everything just kind of mismatched. So we got in here and at first we just kind of made it look better, I guess.
That was all we could do. We had 2 weeks?
Yeah, we had 2 weeks because we wanted to get it up on the market and running before it really, March is a big deal, and it was now January 1st.
Right.
And we're like, we need to get this thing up. So we did the best we could, and then I pitched the idea on this girl strip theme. As you can tell, it's very, I don't think a dude would stay here. As you probably listened to in the previous episode, Laura and Andy, they're like, yeah, we get a lot of girl strips, a lot of girls, and I knew that as well. And so I was like, we just got to decorate towards girl strips. And I had some pretty good comps of what it could get, and the owner, thankfully, was on board. Yeah. And we had some pretty good ideas, and he's like, no, go bolder. So we were like, all right, if you want to go bold, we'll go bold. But yeah, very happy with it. It
rents very well.
It does.
Savannah, to my understanding, is the #2 bridesmaid destination in the U.S. Number 1 is Nashville, my former home. But Savannah's #2. But yes, we decorated. I shouldn't even say we. I helped. We had 19 days to get it sort of matching. Yeah. We launched it. Then we took this unit in particular down completely for maybe 3 more weeks.
Took a month, 1 month,
Took it all the way up. And this is a tough market. This is, we're going to talk about that today. It's 2025. Short-term rentals are just like any other market. Stock market, crypto, real estate, you name it. They're going to go up, they're going to go down. And Chandler, you and I have been in short-term rentals for a long time. One thing I want to say, interestingly about short-term rentals is that during Trump's first term, he instituted this rule where you could do rapid depreciation on businesses and real estate. And so it's turned into this thing that they call the short-term rental loophole. And that is why the owner reached out to me originally and why we are seeing more and more of these short-term rentals turn over. Because if you're a high income earner, if you buy a business and then depreciate that business, you can actually write that depreciation off against your taxes. That is my understanding. I do have a lot of clients that I work with who are advised to do this on their CPAs. So this owner bought this, got a great tax deduction, and now these guests are in this beautiful home. This is just one of 5 units, and the guests are now paying the rest of the mortgage off for him. And it's just so exciting to see. But we've also been riding this market that's, I started in short-term rentals 2017. You got in what, 2019, 2020?
Yeah, basically, 2020.
2020, right. And when COVID hit, it was horrible for a minute. And then South Georgia just exploded. Like, everyone came in here. We never had a mask rule. Everything stayed open. So we had people that were living in apartments in New York that couldn't go anywhere, coming down here after 3 months stuck inside, and they all wanted to be here. So we really kind of blew up the short-term rental market in 2020, 2021. And that's when people started coming in and buying, okay? And so we were in this with them. We watched the market go up, and it kind of peaked. What do you think, Chandler? The end of 2023?
2 was 2023. Remember late fall, I think it was like, we were like, dang, it's like slowing down.
2023 revenue for me as a business owner and a real estate investor was my best year ever.
Was it?
Was 2023.
Okay.
2022 was good. I really should have researched this before we filmed this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely the peak, was 2022, 2023. Very good times. And I have to say, when you're doing well and money's rolling in, you feel like a genius. You just think, oh, I'm smart, I'm this, I'm that. And then you hit the crest and it starts to come back down. And that's when we really see who's a serious investor, who bought right, who bought wrong. We see that every day. You and I are in all the time looking at real estate, and we see a lot of failed, furnished rentals. What do you see when you're in those? It's a resounding theme, I have noticed.
In the failed furnished renters?
Yes, the ones that are selling.
I call it the effortless. They didn't put any effort into them. They kind of just rode that train of, hey, let me put in the Amazon furniture, and the people that basically didn't put effort in, and that's kind of what I say, like, they didn't put effort in and they're getting what they put in, kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know, I'm not sure if I've seen really anything that's like has no effort that's like, I'm still killing it.
No, I agree.
I just hadn't seen that.
Well, and this home is a great example. I mean, it was a beautiful property in a great location, so I believe it did rent. My understanding is that it still did rent because I looked at the financials, but it could have done so much better, and we recognize the opportunity. And I tell buyers all the time, when you're buying a property for a short-term rental, the cheapest thing to redo is the decor. If you have to rehab a property, that is significant. But if you can literally just come in and put up paint and new furniture, that's actually the cheapest way to do it, instead of taking something down to the studs and starting over. You're talking really expensive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think people getting into short-term rentals is, you're getting into hospitality. I wouldn't even call yourself a real estate investor, a hospitality owner now.
Right.
And I think you have to have that mindset, like, hey, I'm going into hospitality. Of course, you get the real estate benefits on top of it, but I think you got to be hospitality. You got to understand branding, you got to understand design, you got to understand all the stuff. And I mean, it's not easy. You don't just get to come in here and hand it off to somebody and make a ton of money anymore. You really got to understand that. And that's kind of what I've been deep diving into, is kind of more of like branding your short-term rental. Because what I was telling this owner, I was like, I would go sit down downtown Savannah with my girlfriend in this like super unique restaurant that was kind of decorated like very fancy. And they were packed restaurants too. Like, these restaurants are slam packed all the time, hard to get into, even during this down market. You just got to have like this viral restaurant to be successful here. Like, it's got to look cool. Because I'm eating the food and I'm like, let's go to Texas Roadhouse after this kind of thing. Like, let me just go. I wasn't very impressed with the food, but what the younger generation is seeing on Instagram, like, oh, that place looks so cute. I want to go with my boyfriend and take a picture of him while he's sitting and eating dinner, and I can post it on Instagram, kind of thing. Or I can make this cool looking reel. I think that's a big part of the younger generation that I'm starting to see.
Very visual.
Yeah, it's very visual. I'm not like that. I want to go eat some good food. Take me to Texas Roadhouse every day of the week. I'll settle with. But no, that's just what I was saying. Like, hospitality businesses coming in. And I know these hospitality businesses, like huge businesses. I started looking them up. Like, there's a Southern Hospitality big group from like New York, and they own a ton of the restaurants around here. It's not like these local owners that are coming in. And so you kind of start seeing, like, I'm like, all right, they got more money than me. They understand. And so I kind of I've actually picked apart like the people behind these businesses. So I start following them like on social media, and I kind of see like what they're doing. Like, Hotel Barda is like one of my favorite hotels right now. I am like all over that place. Just kind of see, because they just opened up in 2023, I believe, and now they're Perry Lane was #1. They've overtaken it.
The detail in the Bardo, even the bathrooms are just painted to the nines. The scent is interesting. And we want to take that into the short-term rental world. And I see it all the time where, with a short-term rental, its best day ever is day 1 before it's had a guest. But you've got to decorate it and manage it and maintain that level. The worst thing you can have is a guest walk in and go, this is not anything like the photos, because it's now worn out. It's half of it's broken, or they've replaced things. What is your answer for that? Decor is such a big part of what we do, and decor is what gets them in the door. But once they get in the door, you also have to wow them have a great experience, get that 5-star review. What's your secret to that? You're very good at that with all of our luxury short-term rentals. You are meticulous. When they check in, it looks exactly like the photos. How do you do it?
I mean, it starts with your cleaning team, like having a really good cleaning team. I think that's first and foremost. They don't always have the attention to detail like that I do, but I don't just let the guests like walk into here, for example. They don't walk into just a pitch black unit. I have like a very specific way of turning the lights on, and it's not all the lights, but like the neon lights will be on. There's some lights that run through here. I turn those on. So when you walk in, it's kind of a cool look. Like it's like, wow. Instead of just being pitch black, I think it makes a massive difference. Like just like the presentation when you first walk in is a big deal for me. So yeah, I'm pretty particular. And then like obviously like most people probably make the beds perfect like in those photos and they look really good. I like to try to make sure when the guests get here that those photos, or not the photos, but the bed looks just like the photos.
And
like it's nice and tight. The pillows, because the cleaner, I mean, there's a lot of pillows going on. There's a lot of different stuff going on in here. I just make sure it's like, it's straight. It's where the pillows need to be. It's really simple stuff. It's not like, it's in the simple little details that make the biggest difference.
Well, and one thing that you've really instituted and you're hardcore on is that you and your team, you have the same people checking the same units. So they understand, where does the orange lemon pillow go? Where does the green kitty cat, whatever. We don't have those, but I'm saying you keep the candlesticks go in the same spot. I mean, it really does matter.
Not kidding. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And it's important to think as a guest, and when you walk into a dark home that you've never been in, it's so, it's scary, but it's kind of discombobulating. And at Sibus here, we want them to walk into a welcoming feeling. We don't want them to feel like there's someone there. If all the lights are on, you go, is someone here? But if just a few of the lights are on, each bedroom has a lamp on, and you'll have like the neon, and talk about that. Like when they first walk in, we want them to realize it's waiting for you.
I've always wanted to watch people walk into this place.
Yeah.
I can't, obviously, I can't just be standing in here, but basically what I'm thinking, I'm like, I really wanted to walk in here and be like, whoa, like kind of like, oh my gosh, check this place out. This is so cool.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing that goes through my mind when I'm like kind of setting this place up. Are they gonna walk in here and be like, wow, or are they gonna walk in here and see a bug right when you walk in and kind of just be thrown off right at the beginning?
Well, that sets up their whole stay, right? If they walk in this unit and they're like, I'm so excited, they're setting up for the best day ever.
It goes hand in hand too. Like when you have like this really cool design, I wish I could show you all the entire unit. I guess you have to go on Airbnb and check it out. It makes it easier to like just wow a guest. If it's really hard when an owner didn't put much effort into it to really wow a guest. So I really enjoy coming in these because you just know when a guest walks in, they're going to be like extremely pleased.
Right.
It's just like nice.
One thing you said to me once, which will be with me forever, and it's very true, is we were talking about some difficult units that we used to manage, and you said, do you realize how much harder it is to manage crappy property than it is a really great luxury property? It's like 10 times more work. And when you said it to me that way, and I was like, wow, you're right. Because this unit, the owner has invested and made it gorgeous. And we're now able to charge a higher rate, which means we're getting higher quality guests that can't afford that, right? This is not $112 a night.
Yeah.
It's not. People that can afford that, they respect it, they honor it, they take care of it. We've had very few guest issues in this unit, or this home in general.
Kind of going into the business side of things, I've always, even when I was younger, I was always like, why would you go work at
McDonald's?
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice here. Why would you work out, we can say McDonald's or wherever, when you can just go work at, I'd want to go work at Ruth Chris. The bill is higher, you're doing the same amount of work.
Right.
You're serving food. Go serve food to where just they charge more. And so that's kind of the same mindset that I take in kind of everything. I want to serve food where they charge the most. Basically, I want to manage where you can charge the most. And it seems like, I don't know if there's no facts behind this, but where you charge the most is less complaints. I think that's managed a wide variety now. It just seems like that. I don't know how it is in fast food restaurants. I'd imagine you probably get more complaints at McDonald's than at Brokerage. I don't know, maybe it's different there. That's the whole mindset I've always taken. And I'm like, why? Just go work at Brokerage instead of McDonald's. You make more.
Well, and as a business owner, I obviously have my own perspective on things, but just spending so much time with you, and your whole thing is operations. That is your entire job. That's your entire focus. You're great at it. And I learned so much from you. Hearing, when you tell me stuff like that, that's when I started actually turning away more units, because I realized that numbers, we always think, oh, we're going to grow our way out of this tough economy. We add more, we add more. The math I wasn't doing was that if I'm adding more of the wrong product and it's more work on you and your team, that's the biggest cost I have is labor. And so once I really got my brain straight, and I said, wait a second, we're profitable on these 2 things and we're non-profitable on these 10. We actually at Sibus here started dropping properties. I mean, things started going down in 2024. 2024 was a tough year for us, for I think the whole area. You and I dealt with this for days. We had a drive-by shooting during the first hurricane, and then we had a second hurricane. And actually before the second hurricane hit, I think Richmond Hill flooded. Anyway, that was a mess. We lost multiple units there. We had a third hurricane hit Florida, which sent half of Florida to Savannah. We still recovered. We didn't even have internet half the places. I definitely didn't have internet at my house. We barely had power. And so we had all these guests flood into town, units that we had been killing ourselves to get back online because of all the weather related issues. And then we had this flood of frustration, complaints, leaks. I mean, it was just brutal. So I was really kind of stressed out from all that last year. And then by the time we hit December, I had been selling real estate to keep the doors open. I mean, it was brutal. Like short-term rentals just, and you have this massive staff, big expenses, and that's constant. Not going to go down when revenue goes down. It actually stays the same. And so I realized last September, October, I was like, I can't afford payroll. Thank goodness I, as an agent, sold a house. So I literally was selling houses to pay payroll. And I sold the hotel 1 month last year, and I paid my credit card bill with it. Like it was just that bad. And so once I really understood the math, and I'm saying this publicly because I want people to know that it's easy to see people on shows like this and think, oh, they're ballers, they're so rich, they don't have any problems. I've had those thoughts. Have you had those thoughts when you see someone talking about all the cool stuff they've got? I'm like, gosh, they don't have any problems. It must be so nice. We've been through it. And so, there are ups. Like I did very well. COVID launched me. I bought more real estate than I ever had. I rehabbed more real estate than I ever had, and I picked up more units. And then, 2024, it kind of started to go down, and we're right in there with it in this market. And, it's tough because if I'm going to own a business, I want to own the best business ever. I want to do my absolute best. I've never, to be frank, I've never half-assed anything in my life. If I'm going to do something, I want to do the best. And that's why I really have always enjoyed hanging out with you, because you, at a very young age, were like, I'm going to play MLB baseball. And you did. I mean, you're a 1%er by a mile, just playing D1 in college, going to the MLB, like you do everything to the top of your ability. And I just think that's such an asset to this company.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I came here. You had a massive mindset. The first thing, I think you were just like, we're going big. I'd never heard that from anybody, like massive goals. And I was like, kind of where I want to be.
And we did. We went nationwide for a minute.
We did for a minute. That's very difficult, by the way.
You can see where we're at with that now. Stop all of it. But
very difficult.
I did. I thought I was taking over the world. When things were going up, I was like, I can do this and that and the other. And
what you've done though is I think you've done a very good job of pivoting and understanding where the market is and doing really well with the pivot. I think so.
I don't know. You always question yourself. And I should have done this sooner. You know what I think every week, like 4 times? I should have listened to Chandler sooner. Because a lot of the stuff that I'm now taking action on at Sid Was Here is stuff you've been telling me for at least 2 years. And it just took me a while to get there.
Yeah, I think when things are working, like it's working, it's kind of just how it is. Cool thing about me, what I'm learning going through is I'm going through, like you always talk about cycles. This is kind of like my first cycle. I started working in 2020. me. And I've never seen a cycle, like a big up. I started basically in a massive, and I was like, holy cow. And so this is like my first down I'm going through, and it's interesting to go through. Like you never know, like you never think you're going to go through it. It's very similar to sports. And then you slump, and you're like, how do we get out of this? When are we going to get out of this? It's eye-opening to see like the down. But I think this is where, like, I've always been in my first down year. I'm like, this is where the experts just thrive. They like it. And I'm kind of weird about that.
You think they like it?
I think some people, when they get pitted like this, they like dig deeper, you know, like they kind of dig a little deeper, and they're like, come on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think, I would say everybody loves the up years when it's easy.
Right.
But I've learned more than I ever have. You know, like it forced me to learn like so much. And when the next up comes around, like I'm not going to get super excited about it really. Like it's going to be, hey, here's the up, let's take the opportunity. It's not here forever. And then just be ready for the next one, you know, and kind of stay on that even keel as to where being so up and down, like as a personality, I wouldn't. The up comes, hey, we're here, we're ready, but it's not here forever. Let's get the opportunity going and then just keep on.
As an investor, I got in at the height too. And it was called 2004, 2006, 2007. Guess who was buying real estate at the top of the market right here? And then when the crash happened, that scared us. My husband, I mean, it was terrifying. And luckily we had always had this mindset of low debt. But unfortunately, when it hit we were terrified because of the crash, and we weren't seasoned. And so we actually didn't buy as much as we really could or should have. We kind of sat in our hands and freaked out and prayed we would make it. And we did. We didn't lose anything. We saw a lot of friends lose things. In fact, recently you and I talked to a bricklayer here in Savannah. It was a very interesting conversation, and he and I got talking about what happened in 08, 09, and hearing his perspective was very powerful. I mean, it was very, very tough times, and we're not there right now. It's not like that, but it kind of, I keep seeing these similarities where you're seeing cranes everywhere, but then you're just like, is it gonna, pick back up or whatever? It's scary, but I have a lot of regrets in that I finally, in 2020, when COVID happened, that was my second down. Okay, my first down was 08, but I would say that was that dip in COVID. When they shut everything down, the lights came on for me. And I said, wait a second, people are freaking out. I should buy a bunch of real estate, because I was scared too. I was terrified during COVID, but I said nope, and I went hard. I love that saying, when things get hard, go harder. And that's when I kind of went crazy buying as much as I could get my hands on, and that has definitely helped me out years later.
I guess COVID would have been my first down. I was in school at the time, so I had no money, no nothing.
You didn't have anything to lose.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, COVID, no school, no more kind of thing.
I can play video games all day.
Now that we kind of I'm not saying we want another COVID, we definitely want more downs, because that's where the opportunity is, and so that's kind of how I see it. I want that down to take advantage of those opportunities. That I want to be ready for that, so that I'm hoping I'm not scared when it does happen. You probably get a little nervous, but I've seen the successful ones just go ham in those markets, kind of like you did. You were just going absolutely ham.
I was either going to go big or I was going to be homeless.
Yeah.
Because I leveraged my house. We took a line of credit on our house. I maxed it out and prayed, and it worked out. But I'm kind of lucky, I guess. But may I say, right now, 2025, we've been in a bit of a dip. The economy's been slowing, and I've been telling my buyers, I'm like, everybody's sitting on their hands right now. We're seeing less and less real estate transactions. And so we're able to get better and better deals, and I'm very proud of it. And now it's September. We have the Fed meeting on Thursday, and I've told several people this week, I'm like, this is the time to go under contract, because if they drop rates while you're under contract, dude, you got yesterday's price with tomorrow's interest rate. There are still buying opportunities right now because we're in a bit of a slowdown. This is not like a COVID dip or 09. I'm not saying that, but that is when you want to buy. That is when you want to be aggressive, and that when you want to be looking at deals, because when your average days on market is 87 days, which is where we're at right now, there's opportunity in there.
It's going up, huh?
Right, the bigs are making money up and down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the thing too, is I don't like to sit and self-pity and kind of be, oh, it's a down market. And I'm like, I'm telling you, the experts are making money. I'm watching stuff, I'm like, man, this dude is still making money. But the reason he is, the stuff that I see, I'm like, it's really good. You know, it's like, I'm like, dang, that dude's good at what he's doing. Really good at what I'm doing. That's kind of the digging deeper of what I'm talking about.
Let's talk short-term rentals in Savannah, Georgia. Okay, licensed short-term rentals in the historic district are a very small commodity. And so having that certificate, it's a 20 to 30% premium. And single, units used to start at 400,000 for like a 1-1 or a studio. And then after COVID, the minimum was 600,000. This is a fact.
Yeah.
Check me, I beg you. I was in the MLS yesterday. We now have 7 units under $500,000 with a short-term rental certificate. Now these
For sale
are
right now?
For sale today. These are 1-1s, but I see myself that dip. And we have the rapid depreciation, the 100% depreciation, so you can get a tax deduction. And right now there's an opportunity to buy things that were $200,000, maybe $150,000 higher a year ago. This is the top market per AirDNA in the US. So right now with this dip in short-term rentals, which aren't going anywhere, they're still very popular. They're just making less than they were last year and the year before. But I think the future is very bright. And that's where I see, even though it's not a giant dip, it's a small dip, I see so much opportunity. And I keep trying to tell people, like, listen to me. Yesterday, Dave Demchick and myself were on the phone with a client. I said, this is a killer deal right here. And he texted both of us this morning, I'm ready, let's write an offer. It was already gone.
Oh, really?
The good deals are going. And we nail it. If you know the market, you can see it.
Yeah.
But I'm shocked to say there are 7 units under in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. I haven't seen that in over 2 years.
I'm just sitting right now, honestly, because for a short-term rental, I used to be, I can go buy like a $350,000, $400,000. But now I'm like, I don't think I want to. I think it's a little too risky. Like, I'm like, I'd rather just make more money and then wait it out and go buy the $800,000 unit.
Yeah.
Because the return's a little bit better, and I would feel more comfortable spending that much money to have a successful short-term rental than buying the. It's very questionable. You're like, I don't know. Like, I'd rather just kind of sit on my hands, and I think you got to have a lot of reserves for a very good short-term rental in today's market. Like, I've heard some people. I was listening the other day to a podcast. Very successful short-term rental people. They're like, dude, if you don't have $150,000, like, don't even mess with trying to buy a short-term rental. Some people might disagree with that, but that's just the biggest number that I've seen people. Hey, if you don't have $150,000, don't mess with it. You might not. You could probably disagree with that. I think you do need, a good chunk still, because I know how much it costs to renovate this, and it's not cheap.
It is not cheap. And we've run the numbers, and our $1 million plus, they actually make a higher cash on cash return than the smaller ones. There are just so many more of them. You've got more competition. And so the other thing that interests me is that there was this mentality for years, oh, you have to buy multifamily to make anything. You make more with multi, da 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 da. Well, you and I were running around town with some buyers, because we have lots of buyers right now for short-term rentals because of this loophole. And they were like, oh, we have to get multifamily. So they're looking at a single building, kind of like this one. This building has 5 units. We were looking at up to 3 units, thinking it would be more money. And I told them, I said, check the revenue. Like, a 6-bedroom single family home is probably going to make more than 3 small units that are a total of 6 bedrooms. And the wife said, you're right. I checked the numbers, you're right. And they're now under contract on a very amazing location, gorgeous property. The numbers are actually better on that than a multifamily when you really, run it out. So again, that's where working with the right person that knows their stuff will actually make you money. A professional should always pay for themselves. Yeah. And it's important to run the revenue. I agree. The cash on cash return is going to be much higher on a $900,000 purchase than on a $300,000 purchase.
Yeah, no doubt. That's kind of the biggest thing that I've seen. I would have loved to buy a short-term. I want to buy a short-term rental so bad.
I'm just big.
Not. Yeah, it's going to have to be a big one. It's not going to be.
It's okay.
So I'm sitting on my hands, and I'm going to have to wait a few years, but that's just how it's going to be for now. So
I have a friend. Her name is Trisha. She's awesome, and she only buys 5 or 6 bedrooms or more, and she has like 3. And she goes, I'm pulling in the same revenue that you are on 10, and I only have 3. She literally, she's a former accountant, and she was right. I said, you're right. So I agree with you. I agree.
That's another thing that I've seen is so many people are so stuck on the door count for years in the real estate world, and I don't give a crap about door counts. Like, how much money are you bringing in, and how much, like, what's your cash on cash return? And that's what matters at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't, like, you can have 50 doors, but if my one door brings in more than your 50, give me one.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Remember being at Bigger Pockets and that person got up and they said, I have 2,364 doors. And we were like...
Doors were a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cool to say, but I don't know. I'm a big just cash on cash. How much cash am I putting in? How much cash am I getting back?
That is right.
4 doors, great. It's 10, great. If it's one.
That's exactly. You know, they say that measure twice, cut once. It's the same thing investing. Like, know your numbers, learn your market, and then buy appropriately, dead on.
Yeah.
And you're not going to regret it.
And that's the thing too, is like while I'm sitting around, I'm not just sitting around. Like I'm very confident in whatever I do buy because I really understand what I'm getting into. Like I know what works. So that's another thing. Like even if you can't afford one right now, just like get really good at it. And understand what you're getting into, like hospitality, understand design, and be like real with yourself. Some people are like, yeah, I'm a good designer, when you're really not.
Chandler, how many times has an owner said, my wife is the best designer ever? If I had $1 for every time we've been told that, and we're always like, oh no.
So, I mean, that sucks too, because some people are like, yeah, I have a really nice looking property and it's struggling. I'm like, all right, let me see it. And I'm like, it's not that nice. Like, it doesn't look good. I wish more people could take some honesty. I wish I could tell them, it doesn't really look that good. But.
Yeah. When you look at short-term rental listings all day like we do, we're always comparing our neighbors, our market, and if you can stand out and also manage it well, it needs to have great reviews, it needs to be run well. It's not just about the photos, but it just makes such a difference. We've been in management for a long time. We've seen a lot. We have a lot of crazy stories. What's the toughest thing you've ever been through managing short-term rentals? What's the toughest day you've had?
That comes to mind are the hurricanes. The hurricanes that came through we've been through shootings, but the shooting was like, all right, we get in, we check the property out. All right, we got some holes to fill. We got some bullet casings to pick up, and that was kind of back up. But the hurricane was like a mess.
Yes.
Like it wasn't just
on so many levels.
Yeah, it was just like a complete mess, and it wasn't this like easy, like get somebody in here kind of thing.
And there was no one to get in.
Yeah.
Right.
The hurricane was pretty tough. And you got trees on houses and stuff like that. That's probably the hardest. And then, I mean, we're letting people stay.
And we were being honest with them what they were coming in for, too. We were going, there's no internet.
Yeah. Hey, we don't have power here, but you can stay. Sure, okay.
And they would book it.
And then we get a bad review because it didn't have power. And then that bad review leads to an owner being upset. Yeah, that was not fun. There
are no thank yous in this business. And I wish someone would have warned me for that, because the hurricanes are a great example. Like you and I, our whole team was 24/7. I mean, probably a month and a half. I mean, it was just, we took hit after hit after hit.
It was a mess.
It was horrible. And everyone to the letter was pissed. And I was like, well, when do we get to complain? Like, no, the guests didn't appreciate anything. The owners definitely were mad about whatever. And I get it. They were losing revenue. I get it. You know, I'm an owner too. I also get it. But I also wanted to go, you know, do you get that we've been at your place since 7 this morning and we're almost there, and then we have 7 more to go to afterward? You know what I mean? Like it was literally the most thankless time I think I've ever had ever.
It's everything. You know,
everything.
It's every house instead of just one.
Right. Worst day ever. I think my worst day ever was probably also my best day ever. This is crazy. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I probably have.
Maybe.
It was my birthday, 2020.
Okay.
April. And I don't know if you remember, but COVID hit. We got shut down, I'm going to say 11 or 12, 13, somewhere in there, right before St. Patty's Day. And just one of the owners I was managing for at the time, we wiped out $55,000 in bookings from that weekend, just on one owner. And we all lost thousands of dollars. Just the second they shut everything down in March, right before St. Patty's Day, it was devastating. And you want to talk about thankless. Everybody's pissed at me. But what am I supposed to do, right? The president shut it down. No one's making revenue, and I was especially then. So I swear to you, I knew it. I actually laid in bed for 3 days. I was convinced I was going under. Then I got my behind up and I started working, and I realized that people wanted to come here. Like within a week or so, all of a sudden, I had tons of medium-term rentals back then. I was very heavy on medium-term rentals in my own portfolio. Everything started filling up. Within a few weeks, we were just packed. So I didn't have much of a staff back then. It was really just myself and Bella. We might have had
Y'all
one.
were doing everything.
We were. It was just she and I, and then we finally brought in someone as backup, but I think that wasn't until 2022. So 2020, it was just us. So I was my poor husband was one of our handymen, and he hated it because he had to work all day. He really hated it. Anyway, so I'll never forget, it was my birthday. And that's when April, so that's early April. So that was 2 weeks into the shutdown. That's when I really realized that people were starting to book again and we were going to be okay. And I was actually starting to raise prices. That was the day I actually raised prices. And I was like so thankful. Well, Starfish is one of the rentals that we still manage. And it has 1 bathroom. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. I don't know if I've told you the story. So it was a bunch of dudes staying there, ironically. And they said the toilet's plugged up. And I'm like, you're a bunch of dudes. You can't handle it. Like, come on, really? Like, I'm emotionally, I'm just spent, okay? And it's my birthday, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna survive this, but I'm just completely, you know how once you realize you've made it through something, or you're just like, so I remember just being like, it's my birthday, if I could just like, breathe for a second. No, there was no breathing. I was very busy. I had many rentals. I was like, okay. So I go get my snake. I pick up my plunger. We already had a plunger at the house. I took my big, nice extra one. I go down there. I'm a chick. I walk into this house with a bunch of dudes. You know who answers the door for me at Starfish? To this day, I don't know if it was a he or a she. It was a very large he, she. I don't know how to say that, but I was like this, but I was there to do a task. So, but ironically, the person was also on the phone. So they had in like one headphone or whatever. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And so I couldn't quite tell if they were talking to me or the person on the phone. It was very confusing. I was very addled. And of course my nerves are just shot at this point. It's 2 weeks into COVID. So I go in the bathroom, and this person came in the bathroom with me, and the bathroom at Starfish is not large, is narrow. And I'm not used to being in a bathroom with a strange man, but I think it was, I don't know if it was a dude. I think it was because of the size, but anyway, the person came in with me. I was like, cool, okay. And so I'm in there with my plunger, and I'll never forget, I'm like, it is my birthday. And I'm like so happy to be plunging this toilet because I knew I was gonna make it. Like I just really realized I was gonna make it. And I remember just praising God, plunging this toilet. And this crazy person is right next to me with their arms on the sink like this, like a gorilla. I mean, huge person going like this. And they would make comments to me and then comment. It was just crazy. And I was like, I'm so happy to be plunging this toilet right now on my birthday. Like, isn't that crazy? But it was really actually quite wonderful. I was thrilled because I knew I was going to make it, and I did. It was like my mind just shifted that day, and I just knew. And that's when I went hard. I started buying. It was kind of this crazy birthday where I was like, I'm going to survive, and I'm going to thrive. I'm going for it, raw. I'm like, get this toilet, buy some real estate. It was kind of crazy.
What was the mindset shift?
I realized that not only was I going to make it, I needed to go even harder.
Plunging into it. Helped you do that.
As I was terrified. I was coming off, I went from terrified to I'm going to leverage my house. And I'm just going to pray it works out. And I'll never forget telling Bella, we're walking through these properties, and I was like, this is either going to be great or I'm going to lose my house. We'll see. I literally told her that on 69th Street, and she was like, she just had kind of this nervous laugh because she knew I was dead right. Like, I have to say, I leveraged everything I had. I really did. Yeah. That was the only thing I had left. And thank God it worked out.
Yeah, this worked out very well.
Well, some days I feel like that. Yeah. And some days I'm like, why did I choose real estate? It's so tough.
Yeah, that's everything though. It's a wild ride for everything. Business it's crazy. It's not for the weak-minded. I tell you that.
Don has always told me a flash in the pan, multi-million-dollar business is always 10 years in the making. But we look at, I'm trying to think of one of these products that's hit, like, I don't even know, one of those Snuggie things.
Oh yeah, I know. And it's always.
Right. And I've definitely lived that, where if I do have any success, I don't know, maybe I do. Many, way more than 10 years in the making. And it's been a ton of sacrifice and prayer and plunging and snaking toilets with he-she's in the bathroom with me. I mean, unbelievable stories from this business.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. It seems like it was this quick. Like 10 years goes quick in business. I don't know what it is. And that's all of a sudden one day it's like, oh, it's there and very successful. And people don't give credit for the 9 years of hell.
Right.
So
part of that's why I'm so brutal on this platform, because people will say, oh, it must be nice. I hate that statement. No. And I want to go, you have no idea. No. You have no idea the blood, sweat, and tears.
Some people just are better off doing their jobs probably. Just
Right.
going and working a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with it because you got to have a set of stones.
You know how some people fantasize about like going on vacation on a yacht or something? You know what I fantasize about sometimes? It's clocking in and clocking out. It's clocking in at 9 and leaving at 5.
Yeah.
I fantasize about that because I haven't done that in more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't have to clock in and out. That's the pretty cool thing.
it's true.
You don't have to tell nobody nothing.
Yeah, but I have to answer to a lot of somebody's.
Yeah, you do.
Do you remember the day you said, I feel like I always tell you bad news? And I was like, get in line, dude. Like that.
Yeah.
No one ever tells me any good news. In fact, someone told me, complimented you just recently and was like, Chandler's so wonderful. I swear to you. And they weren't even complimenting me. But I wanted to just melt into my car seat. I was like, it was so nice to hear thank you and something positive. I actually got into it, not really into it, but we've been a little short-staffed, and I've been answering the phone a good bit, and I know you have as well. We had an owner call, Chandler's late, and I said, late for what? Like, I didn't know what she was talking about. I really didn't. He's supposed to meet my garage door guy. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know anything about it. And the property just happens to not be close to here. It's a good ways out of town. And I checked in, and sure enough, you were going there, which I didn't know. And I said, how much are you paying for him to be there? She goes, oh. I said, you're complaining that he's late and I'm sitting in there for free? Like, it really upset me. I've had a lot of complaints in my days. Really process what this person was saying to me. I kind of, like, my head kind of exploded the other day. I know I told you this, but I was, and not, they weren't against you personally. I hope you know that. But like, after a while, you kind of just get enough and you say, stop it. We do a good job.
To be fair, for the people listening, it was one of those, we're going to be there from 10 to 2.
Right.
Okay, can you just give me a heads up? 30 minutes out? Sure. Hey, we're 5 minutes out. I'm
right.
Like, all right, I'll be there in 15. Yeah. So that's one of the, I can't stand that when they do that. Comcast does it all the time. Like, yeah, we'll be there from 10 to 8.
And they're going to show up at 9:30.
Yeah. No, we're on the right stride. Good properties are starting to come up. And so.
That's right. I just, I'm usually okay with this being a thankless job, normally.
Yeah.
But sometimes, boy, someone pushes the wrong button and I'm just like, don't say, inner dialogue, Julie, inner dialogue, Julie, inner dialogue.
Yeah, no,
it's tough.
Anyways, you good here?
Yes. Thank you for what you've done. And Chandler, you're the best in the business.
I don't know, not yet.
You are.
Not yet.
And I love bringing, new owners around you and they get to pick your brain and you kind of talk to them about what you're going to do. And it's exciting. Like, some of the properties you've been decorating are doing very well. I mean, we have a medium term rental that you had a lot of hand in, and it's solid. Like, the owner is thrilled with the revenue. Like, we've gone up, 30 to 40% on our rate since you decorated it.
Yeah, like 30.
I really can't. I want to say thank you because here I am complaining about not getting thank yous. I really appreciate the vision that you have and how you really are great at getting in the mind of the guests. And I think that you just do a lot for Civis here and this whole real estate community. Like, you just contribute a lot here. So we're very lucky to have you as part of this community. And I get to hang out with you a good bit, which is, I'm lucky too.
We both get to hang out with each other.
Yes.
We compliment each other well.
Well, and it's been like 5 years since we talked about starting a podcast. Like, back before
really, that's
you didn't even
true.
work here, and we were like, we should have a podcast.
Yeah, called you like, we need I had an hour.
Yeah.
That's a good story to go to. I had an hour trip to where I was working. You would call me, and I had an hour. I was like, yeah, I got an hour to talk. And
we were always talking real estate.
they were just like really good conversation. I was like, man, if these were just podcasts recorded, they'd be great.
I remember that conversation. I was like, that would be so fun.
Yeah, I just wanted to learn. I was like, yeah, we can talk to interesting people and learn from them. So what, 79 episodes later? Something around there.
It's an honor. I'm thankful people want to listen. But
Well, anyways, we appreciate y'all listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, share.
say thank you every now and again, maybe.
There you go.
Great.
That's a good one. And we'll see y'all in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Fields of green, seeds of sweat I sow. Running numbers, watch the cash trees grow. Cash flow Savannah where the dreamers dwell. Get your hustle on, ring that wealth bell. From the dirt to the gold, every story's untold. Cash